All right, welcome back to Market Day Report. I am Scott Schulte, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. I wore this black and white jacket. I wore it in the trading pits before we got rid of them. I wore this in Europe as well, so it's been around the world, and so have I. And let's go around the world and take a look at what's happening in these corn markets, right? Because the corn goes all around the world. Corn telling us that it's gone away for a happy Thanksgiving. That's what it's telling us. We're off a penny and 3/4 in that D's corn, 571 1/4, 3 and a bit cents off the low. So very, very quiet. March also off 1 3/4 cents. Let's get over to soybeans, see what we've got going over there. It's much the same, just a little bit less actually. This one's a sleeper. Now we have, we have traded a decent range on the day, but we're at 1264 3/4, 1265 even now, which is in the Jan, which is off a 1/4 cent. March is also off a 1/4 cent as well at 1276 1/4, but basically in the middle of the day's trading range too. So that one's quiet. Those two have left for the weekend. How about wheat in Chicago? We're up 2 cents in D's, 822 even. Again, in the middle of the day's trading range. March is up 2.5 cents at 833 1/4, and that's the Chicago wheat. Let's take a look at what's happening in Kansas City. Kansas City, here we come. 5.5 cents higher. This is a good board. 832 3/4 is last in D's. March is up 6 3/4 cents at 837 1/4. All right, let's take a look at Minneapolis. I used to live in Minneapolis. Spring wheat in Minneapolis. This is a mixed board. The fronts are lower, the backs are higher. Let's go 2 3/4 cents lower in the front. That's D's. 1014 is last. We've got March down 2 cents at 1017 3/4. But we do see July and Sep are up 1 3/4 and 7 1/4 respectively as you go out the deferred. So a little something for everybody there in the spring wheat, Martin. Then finally, let's take a look at cotton before we get to our guest, who's patiently waiting in the wings. We're up 240 in that D's contract at 119.99. That is just underneath 120. We have been over that 120 mark, and March is up $1.79 at 116.93. All right, let's bring in Todd Horowitz from Bubba Trading. Todd, it's that time of year where I say to the guests, especially somebody of your esteemed caliber, how did you get the name Bubba?
Well, I actually, as you know, when you go to the trading floor, you have to have an acronym, and I was going to get my initials, and they didn't have them anymore, so I had to take my secondary, which was always my nickname, because how many 6'3" Jewish kids were there in the 60s playing football? Bubba Smith. So that was my...
There you go. See, I bet a lot of people didn't know. I remember that, but a lot of people would probably want to know. So that's interesting stuff. All right, let's talk the markets. That might be interesting. Seems like some of them have already taken off for the weekend. What do you think?
Listen, I think we're going to be very quiet here. Next week should be totally quiet. Now there'll be some movement, but I think we're going to hold the key levels. I think that we're in really solid condition here, and I think that we're going to see much higher prices. I mean, again, I would not be surprised to see a 6 in front of corn, possibly a 9 in front of wheat, and a 13 in front of soybeans here shortly. I think things are really shaping up well, barring any major catastrophes. And of course, that includes the supply chain, which we can't get, which, there's a lot of issues out there. But I think that overall, from a technical standpoint and from a demand standpoint, I think it'll look really strong.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and the supply chain is going to be with us. And this infrastructure bill that they just passed does absolutely nothing for the supply chain. I mean, if you pull it over to the side of the road and take a look at what they actually passed, yeah, they're replacing stuff that we already use, but there's nothing new, right? That's not going to alleviate any of this short-term pain. All right. I took up a lot of time there talking about your nickname. Stay right there. We're going to go away, come back. We'll talk livestock with you, Bubba, and just after these messages. Welcome back to Market Day Report. I'm Scott Schulte, otherwise known as the Cow Guy, and I always use that as a cheap little segue to get right into these markets because we've got lots to talk about. But let's take a look at what the cattle markets are doing, specifically live cattle. Let's see what the live cattle board's got for us. D's is up 32 cents, a whopping 32 cents. We'll take it, though, won't we? 133.47 is last in the D's live cattle contract. February is up 25 cents at 137.50. And then as you go out the deferreds, we lose a little real estate. We're off a nickel in June, and we're off 12 cents in August. So that's not too bad. But that is, again, another quiet board, right? That's kind of the theme of the day today, it seems like. How about feeder cattle? This has got a little something for everybody, right? We've got the front month, Jan, down 12 cents, 161.25. March is up 2 cents, one tick at 163.57, and April is sharply unchanged. All right, let's move over to lean hogs and see what we've got going on over there. That's another one that's got a little something for everybody. 55 cents lower in that D's contract at 74.55. Feb's off 62 cents at 82.67. Got to go out the deferreds to May and June to see a little bit of a gain. 72 cents in May and 25 cents in June. All right, let's bring back in Todd, Bubba Horowitz. Todd, anything light your fire in the livestock? And if not, we can get to anything else. You know, the floor is yours.
You know, Scott, I think that the cattle and hogs look good. Again, I think it's the same thing. We're just in this lull period right now. You know, we're coming into Thanksgiving. Everybody's worried about the holiday. You're going to have a lot of travel next week. Yeah, I got a lot of things on my mind, Scott, but I think the biggest thing is the non-address of the supply chain and the talk of opening the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. I mean, what are we going to do if we open it up? So what? Where are we going to get? How are we going to replenish it? Right. So it backs in the theory of everything they're saying. So it's
a short-term.
There's
it's
a lot
a
of issues out here that we need to be solved.
I agree. It's a Band-Aid. That doesn't.
It's not even a Band-Aid because you can't replace it.
Right. So. We got a lot of problems, Todd. I mean, we've got Austria and Germany locking down. Maybe Germany, maybe Austria, definitely. That's sent also crude oil tumbling a little bit too, because everybody's worried about what that might do to the economies. And here's what I go on record. As you well know, last March I went on a lot of networks and I said that locking down was probably the dumbest thing we could do. And if you did your homework, that backs it up. But we acted like it was never going to happen again because we spent so much money, right? Just paying everybody to stay home.
Right.
And we totally spunked all we had. And I said back then, we better not have another lockdown because we can't afford it. So guess what, folks? Even if we need to lock down again, it's going to be one of those shrug your shoulders and say, got to get on with it because we can't afford it. I mean, we already wasted all of our money. I mean, what is going on?
We can't lock it down, but of course, again, the current administration knows no bounds of how much they can spend. And at the end of the day, could be the problem. And this is where we end up in problems. And wait till the winter season starts and the heating bills start coming.
I know.
You want to talk about inflation? We haven't seen anything yet. This is going to be a real test. I know we got to go. I know.
We had a cool one down here. But anyway, yeah, we do have to go. Good stuff talking to you. Have a great weekend, Todd. Love having you on. That's Todd Horowitz from Bubba Trading. I'm Scott Shelby here in Nashville. I'm going to throw this one back over to Tammy.